Welcome to Hip Hop Now Podcast. If you're from the future, you know what to do. Get your ass out of here. Don't disrespect the legend. Hip Hop is here to stay. Let's get right into the business.
What up, y'all? I am your host, Vegas, and this is Hip Hop Now Podcast, a podcast specifically designed to keep you caught up on all things hip hop, music, and culture that happened throughout the week. Big shout out to the subscribers to this channel, whether you found this channel through the shorts I post, which seem to be extremely popular, or the weekly podcast, Hip Hop Now Podcast. Maybe you was an original listener in audio form and you have now graduated to the video. No shade. If you still do audio, I appreciate all listeners. Or maybe this is your first episode. Welcome. Hit that subscribe button if you love it. Hit the like button if you like it, and definitely comment because I read the comments and I respond to the comments. So shout out to you. We all know what happened this past week. You know, Kendrick Lamar performed at the halftime show. My opinion was that I liked it a lot. I also expected something very different, something very Kendrick Lamar. For those who didn't know what to expect or felt like he jumped off script because at the Super Bowl it's about doing the hits, that's what it's traditionally has happened, but maybe you've never seen a Kendrick Lamar show before. Here's a couple things you can Google so it'll make sense. Kendrick Lamar at the Grammys. Remember that one? Go look that one up. Kendrick Lamar performance at the Grammys. I forget the year, but it'll pop up. As soon as you see the jail suits, you'll see what I'm talking about. Watch that. And then watch when Dr. Dre had the Super Bowl performance, and specifically look at Kendrick Lamar's performance against the other performances on the stage, which is not no shade, but his stuff is different. His stuff is meant to evoke something that's even deeper than just the lyrics. The imagery is a message just as much as what he's saying in his songs. And that's what he does. So if anybody wasn't entertained by it or didn't get it, there's enough guys explaining it online. But if you would like to see my reaction the day of the Super Bowl afterwards, shout out to the homie. I did a live stream. Shout out to everybody who came through to chop it up with us and kind of review and react to what we saw. Everything I had to say about it was there, and it's also available in the audio stream if you would just like to listen to it instead of watching it. I would say watching it kind of hits home a little bit more because we had a little fun with it. And again, I know if you like Kendrick Lamar, you're considered a K-bot, but guess what? I'm sitting on Kendrick Lamar and Drake albums because I liked both artists, and J. Cole. I like both artists genuinely. It wasn't pick a side for me ever. Now, preference when it comes to battle rapping, yeah, I thought Kendrick would win. But I didn't think it would go down the way it did. And there's a lot of things that, you know, I already had my reservations about Drake as a man, not as the artist, but as a man. And some of it spilled into the art. And I think Kendrick exposed some of that. But nevertheless, I'm not as invested as the internet is to argue with you. I don't care. I still have my best of Drakes that I go back to every now and again. I'm not going to review the new album here on this podcast unless y'all want me to, because I think going by what I know my audience to be as far as analytics and the people who respond and how they respond and what they have to say, I'm the only one in this crew who cares about listening to Drake and Party Next Door. But if you want the quickest review possible, because I have listened, I like 3 songs. So go look it up and you'll see what we think about that. Or you can hit me up on social media at Vegas World INC, and I can tell you in detail, you know, why I only like 3 songs off of that project and why I don't like more. So there you have it. Big shout out to hiphopdx.com. allhiphop.com, Double XL magazine, and a couple of places where I'm getting some of these stories from. Let's get right into the business. Outkast has been nominated to, or has become a nominee for the first time for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Now, I know there's some people who, there's a long history of hip hop not necessarily caring about the Grammys or the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame because it's the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame has been inducting rappers for some time now, and the Grammys have, for the most part, gotten it right with the nominees when it comes to the albums, right? Like if it's not all 5 of the albums you or I would have at the end of the year, there's some in there. There was a time where there was nothing there. Like Common and Pete Rock 20 years ago at the Grammys would have never made it into Best of the Year as a nominee. And don't think not winning an award like the Grammys, it just means you're trash. No, the nomination holds weight as well. So I'm glad Pete Rock was able to get a nomination. It's what hip hop wanted, right? It's recognition. We didn't boycott these things because we just felt like they were whack. We admired the Grammys and the artists that won the Grammys or got into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And we needed that recognition, and it was never recognized. So we just didn't watch it. We just boycotted. Yo, you're not recognizing the finest in what we have to offer. And you're not televising that award either when it's the biggest genre, especially now. Out of all music genres, basically. Definitely streaming. So that's where all of that boycott stuff comes from. It's not because, the Grammys is whack. It's because the Grammys, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, at one point, hip hop wasn't recognized. Hip hop is still young. 50 years is still young compared to other genres of music, right? There's some of those genres go way beyond 50 years. Hip hop is young. It just happened, right? It just kicked off. So to be where we are today, to have a group like Outkast nominated and other groups make it into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, it's an honor because Big Boy ain't telling y'all to boycott. He telling y'all to vote. I placed my vote. I shared my vote on social media. I think if you like Outkast and you want to see them honored in this way or any way in general, any opportunity to honor Outkast and their music, you should go and vote for them because you have a say in whether or not they get in. And I think they should be first ballot, right? This is their first time being nominated. They should be first ballot Hall of Famers. So here's a list of some of the nominees, and I think Outkast is the only hip hop group. So it's Bad Company, The Black Crowes, Mariah Carey, Chubby Checker. Wow, Chubby Checker is not in it. That's crazy. Joe Cocker, Billy Idol, Joy. I can't see what this says. Oh man, they asking me to log in and all of that. Hold up, yeah, hold up. Okay. Billy Idol, Joey Division, New Order, Cyndi Lauper, Manya, Oasis, Outkast, Fish, and I think that said Soundgarden. Why would they make a list that on IG that disappears? Like, what you doing, man? I'm trying to read it. But that's it. So it's really one hip hop act. I think off the strength of that, we got to get behind Outkast and get them in there. Everybody else fight for the pop spot and the jazz spot and the blues or whatever, the folk, the country. Everybody else fight for those spots, right? I can't believe Billy Idol's not in it either because these are like some iconic artists. I think Mariah Carey's probably getting in there easy. But as far as Outkast, I think when it comes to the link to go and vote, I would say I got the link from Big Boy's tweet on Twitter. So if you have a Twitter account, go to Big Boy's page and find it there. He probably also posted it on IG. Or maybe you could just Google the words like, cast your ballot for the 2025 Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And then you can just go vote for Outkast. Do it for hip hop. In other news, what do we have here? Hold up, we got Instagram open and everything. In other news, Camron basically tells us the story behind why we never got the Lil Wayne Juelz Santana collaboration. Now, around the time of the Carter 3, and maybe a little bit before that, there was hype around a collaboration between Lil Wayne and Juelz Santana, and they had done some songs together, and they actually their styles, their voices complemented each other. So I was low key kind of looking forward to it. This is on hiphopdx.com, and Cameron gave some insight. The name of I forgot. This was the name of the mixtape. I Can't Feel My Face. If you know, you know. If you've seen Juelz Santana without his dentures and you know his story, and you've seen Wayne, yeah, they probably couldn't feel their face. But here's what's listed on Hip Hop DX, the article. In the mid 2000s, Juelz and Weezy had fans in a frenzy with reports of a joint album on the horizon, but nothing came to light. There ended up being a version of the album that leaked online, and there was very little fanfare compared to what it could have been had the project got a full release. I don't know if I heard that, now that I think about it. But on Cameron's latest episode of his show, Talk with Flea, he addressed it, and here's what he said, and I quote, Killer addressed the ongoing narrative that he blocked the effort from coming out, though he did admit it was when we wasn't all on the same page. Okay, whatever. Here's a quote. Lil Wayne wasn't the superstar the Dipset rapper began. He was a star, but remember, Lil Wayne emerged into a superstar after the Carter albums and Millie and all that ish. So Wayne didn't put out his first album yet at this point. Cam, I don't know if you're remembering the timeline correctly, but let's keep going. So Juelz and Lil Wayne had a project. Def Jam is under Universal, which Lil Wayne was signed to. So when they wanted to put the project out, Universal told Def Jam, well, Lil Wayne still didn't give us his album yet. So if y'all want to put his project out, we're taking 95%, and Def Jam, y'all could take 5%. So Steve Garley, shout out to Steve Garley, he's now the head lawyer for Universal, and at the time he was the head lawyer for Def Jam, and we still good to this day. We had a joint venture deal with Def Jam, so if that project came out, that means Def Jam would get 2.5% of the album, and me and Juelz would get 2.5% of the album. And they said, Cam, we love you and all that, but we're not doing that. We can't do that. And they was more on the tip because Lil Wayne didn't even hand in his project yet. So they like, how are we going to okay the Juelz and Wayne project if Lil Wayne didn't even hand in his project? Maybe we can revisit it after Lil Wayne's project comes out. But until then, no. So he goes on to speak a little bit more about this. And in essence, the teasing of this project was around 05, 06, right? Lil Wayne released The Carter in 04, so his first album. And in 04, with his fourth album, studio album, okay, the platinum sell in The Carter 3 followed a year and a half later in 2005. So this is the thing, right? It's just like I said, they around the Carter, well, the Carter 2, between the Carter 2 and 3, they were teasing the album. So Cam saying he didn't even release an album yet seems weird because, for one, Lil Wayne had albums before the Carter, right? So maybe he's just talking about a new deal that started with the Carter series, right? So maybe that the release of the albums versus when they were making these deals and making these decisions are another thing. Because maybe the album isn't handed in at the time they're discussing a deal to release this joint, collaborative album. To me, it felt like right in between the Carter 2 and the Carter 3, and Juelz Santana was on the Carter 3, was the time to release it. But apparently it never happened, and they didn't like the splits, and he goes into more detail about it. But it's unfortunate, and maybe, this is a big maybe because of today, where we've received, like, I don't know what happened to it on streaming services, but like the actual Jay Electronica solo album that was supposed to release, remember, it dropped the same time he dropped that joint with Jay, but I don't know what happened to it on streaming services because now you can't find it. It's called Act 2. It actually dropped. And it wasn't really that great, but I guess that's because we had heard some of the songs that were on there, and too much time had passed. I think like 10 years had passed, but we still got the Jay Electronica album. And again, I'm not talking about the one with Jay-Z. I'm talking about the solo album we had been waiting for. We got it during the pandemic. Same thing with, even though this is only on vinyl, same thing with Nas' I Am the Biography. We finally got like a official release. It was only on vinyl. I have it, right? But at least it came out officially. Most of us from back in that time or whatever have been, listening to the bootleg forever, which was fine by me. But there was never really an official release. And then there's been other joints like Rod Digger album that got shelved, finally saw the light of day. Foxy Brown's final album, which to me was it might be her best. I ain't gonna lie. Out of her catalog, Il 992, that was finally released some years later. So I, Large Professor's album, the LP, like all of these albums that were highly anticipated, or projects that were highly anticipated but never dropped, eventually, because of time and streaming and all that stuff, saw the light of day. Like, we actually have a copy. Even Power of a Dollar, 50 Cent's shelved album from Columbia, saw a release years later. So to me, even though I would not want a new Lil Wayne and Juelz Santana collabo, because I feel like Lil Wayne, when it comes to the music, like recorded in the studio, he still got it. Juelz, on the other hand, it feels like the time has passed where we really cared about what he does and what he has to say, even though he's released records that I kind of like, but I think he stayed away from the game a little too long, But if they are sitting on that collaborative project from back then, I think with the context of knowing like this was supposed to drop in 05 or 06 or whatever it was in between, once you have that context of when it was supposed to drop and you think back to who Lil Wayne was at that time and who Juelz Santana was at that time, and even their collaborations, to me it's an easy listen after that. I know, like, this is not new, but this is something I've never heard. Let me know in the comment section if you've heard the leaked version of this project, because I haven't. And from what the little bit that I read, it seems like they said it would have benefited from an official release as opposed to how it was released. So I don't know. We'll see. And lastly, all right. So Westside Gunn at one point took a break, from rapping, a real break in probably towards the end of 2024. He dropped like 2 albums. One, which was like an EP, wasn't really that great to me. I forget the name. And then the other one, which I also forget the name. Hold on, I can't keep forgetting the names. But hey, man, I'm saying there's just so much music that comes out sometimes. Still Praying. That's the one that had Sid Vicious from Wrestling on the cover. And even though the EP prior to that he released wasn't good to me. Still Praying was okay, but I had high expectations because Westside Gunn had kind of taken a break. I believe his brother passed away. But now he has a new project, which is kind of dedicated to his brother, who I believe his name is Big Dump. Wait, did he pass away? Well, yeah, he did have a brother that passed away, right? I don't know. Please, in the comments, if I'm mixing up somebody locked up versus somebody who passed, but I'm almost positive it was his brother that passed away, and that's who he's talking about. But he has a new project out called 12. On the cover, it says Free Sly for Big Dump, right? So to me, it's a dedication album, but not necessarily an album that's all related to that, right? It's almost, I guess you can call it almost like a celebration of his life or whatever. But I have to tell y'all, my review scale for these types of things. The first listen is just let me hear what you got. Second listen is all right. Let me hear what you got. Let me hear the details. Let me dig into what's being said, the concepts, all that stuff. And the third listen is just to confirm what I heard. And for a project that is 11 songs, coming in around 44 minutes in length as far as time, I really like it. It's probably the one album from him that I've liked in a long time. Let me see. Let me just go to Westside Gunn's catalog real quick on my phone. Please don't kill me for it, but I'm just saying I just need to look to get a sense of the last new project that I liked from. The last new project I liked from Westside Gunn was liked a lot, was in 2022. Is the album called 10. That was the last time I really liked it because he had Then You Pray For Me. That wasn't that great. Hall and Nash 2 was kind of like some older stuff with him and Conway, and I dug it, but I don't really go back to it. Still Praying. It's funny because that EP where's that EP at? It's not here anymore. What did he take it off? I think the EP it was called 11. I didn't really like that. But this new project, 12, I like it a lot. I like the beats. I like the rhymes. I like the fact that it's not long and it has like sometimes there could be too many songs and sometimes he believes something's more ill than I do as a fan of his. Like it's not that ill. Like nothing, whatever magical, whatever you think is happening is not happening, right? It's like an artwork in the city. I'm just sitting there like, no, it's not. It's not, dog. It just sounds like the same thing you just made. Some people may feel that way about this 12 joint, but nah, no way. This album is more of a collaboration than just a Westside Gunn solo album. I guess you can say that about most of his projects, but I think this one more than most because ST Knack, and did I say that right? Is that his name? And Stove God Cooks are on like every song on here except for 2. There's only 2 songs where either one of those guys don't appear. A dude named Brother Tom SOS is on here. If that's not how you say his name, okay, cool. Let me know. I don't know. I can't keep up with these dudes. Oh, hold up. I hit play, my mistake. Don't want that to play. Some of the standouts for me, the Boswell track, the first song you hear, I felt like that got me right in gear with this joint as soon as I heard it. Adam Page was dope, featuring Stove God. First of all, if you love Stove God Cooks, where he has a verse, he's stellar on this project. Like it's what I need when I want, like, yo, when we gonna get a Stove God album? Like, okay, I'm good for a little while. I feel like I got something. So there's that. I feel like I like 55. That's another one that's good. I like what's this other one? Outlander. That's Westside Gunn by itself, and I like the final track, which is called Dump World. I feel like this album has it's almost like a tale of two halves, and it's not the worst thing in the world because the sequences is you kind of get the boom bap, but you get the drums, and you get it feels more high energy, and then somewhere in the middle, specifically when you hit the song Health Science, the tempo, the vibe slows down a little bit. And it's that way almost throughout the album, the rest of the album, until maybe Dump World, which is the last track. So it's almost like, you start off, we hype, boom, 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 mad gun sounds coming at you, and then it all slows down and it becomes more methodical, you know what I'm saying? And I don't mean that trying to be like super lyrical, miracle, spiritual hip hop fan talk. I mean, like they taking their time at that point, which is cool. I didn't mind it, but that opening is what had me like, yo, I'm kind of liking this project. I feel like Brother Tom SOS or whatever his name is, who is probably an artist who's on Griselda, and he's very different from the other artists on Griselda Records. I think he drags down the vibe a little bit. He can rhyme, he's talking that talk, but there's something about him that feels like when you're listening to the animation that Westside Gunn brings to a track, the animation that Stove God brings to a track, and even SD Knack, right? Like, and we're gonna talk about him. Even his energy, everything is up, extra hype, stylized. I like the way, like, because I was listening in the car, and I like the way, there's always ad libs and sound effects and all that, but there's a lot here, but I feel like it's well placed. And they played with the left and right channels with them also. So if you got a good set of headphones or speakers at home or in your car, whatever, you'll be able to hear, the things I was saying. Like they were taking advantage of spatial audio. For those who don't know what that is, that's when not just left and right channels, but you can make different sounds sound like they're behind you or further away or closer and things like that. So it kind of played into the listening experience for me. And I feel like this dude, Brother Tom SOS or whatever, he just didn't fit. So it kind of like, for example, he's on the song Health Science. That track I feel like is cool. Okay, everything is slowing down. You got a new guy or whatever. But it feels like a detour from the album you're listening to when you get to that. The song Gumbo Yaya, I had to skip 3 times. Every time I went, first listen, I was like, enough, skip, right? Second time, I was like, okay, I'm try to the end, and then I just skipped. Like, dog, why are you trying? You don't like it, okay? Third listen, soon as I saw it was coming up, skip. Hit that skip, 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 like Shannon Sharp. So that was one thing that I kind of was like, but to me, it didn't make me dislike the album as a whole. And if there's one song that I skip, is Bury Me with a Stove. Now, when I read that title, I was like, okay, another Stove guy. He's not on it, okay? And SD Knack is on it, and he has a verse, and I like when he rhymes. But man, if you could hear the hook, zombie rapping, zombie hook, yeah, I'm not exaggerating. Yeah, like he's waking up from getting knocked out by the Hulk, and like his jaw is broke, and he don't know where he is, and he's disoriented, and all he can do is like murmur something out to let you know that it says help me. Like, yeah, I'm not joking. I'm not joking. I'm in the car with my wife, and she knows I'm reviewing this, so we gotta listen. And she's just staring at me like, So you're not going to skip this one. It's just not good. I know there's some dudes out there. I mean, I know some of y'all love, like, nah, that's that. You don't know about that. Go kill it. No, I don't know, dog. Skip. Okay? Skip. That's what happened. But with that being said, considering there's only 11 songs, it's only 44 minutes. I'm a Westside Gunn fan. I love Stove God Cooks. You know what I'm saying? I like SD Nat, right? I have no problem with him beyond that one hook. That's it. And even this dude, Brother Tom SOS, doesn't bring this album down to me feeling like it's one of the best of the year already. For me. Now, I always do this because there's certain people who have opinions about artists, and what I say won't make them like or hate it, right? So if you love Westside Gunn and you love everything he does, you might start calling this a classic. I wouldn't agree with you, but you might, because I feel like this is the best he's done since 2022. That's how I feel about it. You know what I'm saying? If you don't like boom, 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 you like getting shot at in the track, boom, 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 like you don't like all of that, this is not for you. You don't like Stove God talking about a stove like it's supposed to be so special. Like what? Why is he talking about a stove like that? You're not gonna like it. But if you like me, hip hop is a variety of things with a variety of artists who bring different, sounds and flows and lyrics to the table. And I feel like Westside Gunn lyrics, I was kind of like, yeah, he rapping. So I like it. Again, will it be in my top 5 of the year? I would say that would be tough to call right now because there's a lot of supposedly, hopefully, dope projects on the horizon for this year that could potentially be better than this. But I feel as far as like when I look back at the year, at the end of this year, this will be one of the first albums I was like, I got an album that released in 2025 that I'm going to listen to on a regular basis. So there you have it. Have you heard Westside Gunn's brand new album, 12? Leave your review in the comment section of this podcast. I will check it out. I would love to know what you feel about it. Do you like that hook? You like that? Okay, but let me know why. You can follow me everywhere on social media at Vegas World INC. And please, if you like this episode, hit that like button. Review it on Apple Podcasts. If you love it, subscribe wherever you get it, whether it's on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Tidal, or right here on YouTube at Hip Hop Now Podcast. Until next time, y'all, I am not a critic. I'm a fan. Peace.